All rights are reserved for the owner and author of Dysfunctionally Satisfied in the Workplace. Top 10 Reasons for Organizational Burnout with Preventative Methods by Guzelle R. Davis, Educational Specialist. Introduction. One concept all working class members have experienced is dysfunction in the workplace. Dysfunction in the workplace is defined as the organization being abnormal or unhealthy interpersonal behaviors or interactions in the workplace that lead to organizational or business not working to its fullest capacity. Dysfunction in the workplace can lead to anxiety, depression, work hurt, burnout, change of career or purpose, and in some extreme cases, suicide. Dysfunctionally Satisfied in the Workplace is a guide to combat the top 10 reasons for dysfunctions of businesses and organizations. And if you are familiar with or experiencing any of these following questions, then the organization in which you are affiliated with has dysfunction. Question number 1. Are you late in obtaining information pertinent to your job's efficiency or effectiveness? Question number 2. Are there several new employees in your workplace each year, term, or quarter? Question number 3. Do you feel supported by your leadership, administrative team, and your colleagues? Question 4. Is the morale in your organization or business high? Question number 5. Is the organization or business consistent with their expectations, routines, and procedures? And are they clear and concise? Question number 6. Is there regular feedback about your job performance? Question number 7. Is there an opportunity for professional growth and leadership? Question number 8. Is there regular training for programs, software, and professional development? Question number 9. Is there any employment recognition? Question 10. Is the leadership effective and knowledgeable of the organization or business in which they're leading? Question 11. Is everyone held at the same level of job-related accountability? On top of what's occurring in our everyday personal lives, we must also combat dysfunction in our environment in which we work in. Most employees want to be successful in their careers or job. That's why we got into it in the first place. Most of us want to grow and have positive experiences. Many working adults are seeking a lot of professional assistance right now with the dysfunction in the workplace. One of those top 10 reasons is the fact that we are in a pandemic. This is unprecedented times, and we are unfamiliar with many of the challenges and changes that are taking place within our organization. However, the organization's leaders must take that into consideration. And because a lot of organizations and business leaders are not, there is dysfunction. So we're going to tackle some of these top 10 dysfunctions in the workplace and identify some coping and professional skills that will ensure our personal and professional growth at any organization and in any business. Chapter 1. Chapter 1 deals with communication. Either your communication is going to be ineffective or it's going to be effective. We're talking about dysfunction in the workplace, so we're going to talk about communication being ineffective. So if we were to boggle down communication being ineffective, there are 3 main components that leads to bad communication. 1, distrust within the organization or business. 2, confusion within the organization or business. And 3, lack of productivity. So distrust comes in because you don't really trust what anybody's saying because there's nothing documented and there's nothing in your job duties that details exactly what it is you're supposed to be doing. Or communication for the day. If you're in an organization or a business, things change day to day. And if you don't have that effective communication, you don't trust what people are telling you from day to day. You may not trust who the information is coming from. You may not trust the accuracy of the communicator or what they're saying or when they're saying or how it's supposed to take place. Therefore, you're not really sure to trust what that person is saying or what's being communicated to you because it may very well be subject to change, or it's just null and void completely, or it's just incorrect information. The incorrect information leads to a lot of confusion. Many people are confused due to ineffective communication. Confusion is the fact that you're just unsure of what to do or who's right or who to listen to. Okay. And with lack of communication, of course, there's lack of productivity. If you don't know whether you're coming or going, you're not going to be efficient or effective in your job. So, again, top 3 reasons for having ineffective communication, or top 3 reasons communications must be effective, are, again, distrust, confusion, and lack of productivity. Now, effective communication is going to broaden your horizons and give you a little bit more information to the employees within the organization or business. And that is going to give you 3 great things. It's going to build your trust. It's going to have clarification. It's going to have team collaboration, and it's going to have productivity. Because now I trust that the information is accurate because it has one source, and not only that one source, is clear and concise, and everyone knows and expects for whatever's being communicated to be done. It also brings clarification. It doesn't matter who I go to, who I go speak to. I know all of us are going to be on the same page as it pertains to what's being communicated. It also builds team collaborations because now we're all on the same page. We have an idea of what's expected of us. Thus, we can work together to make sure that our productivity is efficient and effective. And we have something to measure our outcome by, which is going to lead to high productivity. Now, when you're combating ineffective communication in the workplace, there are a few methodologies that you can employ as a professional that is going to make that ineffective communication a little bit easier for you in the workplace. One of those professional Chapter 1, communication. Communication is super important in any business or any organization. When communication is ineffective, it will lead to distrust, confusion, and lack of productivity. Distrust comes in because you're not really sure of who you should trust when information is being conveyed to you. It's not that are you really trusting who's telling you, is whether or not you trust the information that is being told to you. Is it going to change? Is it pertinent to you? Or is it null and void, period? So you're unsure of whether to do it or not to do it, to follow it or not to follow it, because if you do follow it, are you going to get in trouble? If you don't follow it, are you going to get in trouble? If you do follow it, is it going to change the outcome that you didn't want, or is it going to make an outcome that you didn't want? How is it going to affect you in your personal job-related skill? Confusion comes in because if I go talk to someone else about what's being communicated with me, are they on the same page? Do they know what's being communicated? Have they heard what's being communicated? So a lot of people will then be confused because of either lack of communication or consistent communication. And it will also lead to lack of productivity. Lack of productivity will come because you're too focused on what you should do, how it should go in the communication, that you aren't really focused on the end result and what needs to be done. So you're focusing on finding out information instead of actually working to complete the task that you're being asked to complete as far as your productivity is concerned. Now, effective communication is going to lend to a more supportive business or organization. The effective communication in the workplace is also going to build trust within the teams and the colleagues and the staff, because it's not, again, who is delivering the information, is whether or not the information is being spread consistently throughout the organization or throughout the business. And it doesn't matter who you speak to, everyone knows what's expected of them as it pertains to that particular communication piece. There's clarification because we all now are on the same page. And because we're now on the same page, that will lend to team collaboration. And with team collaboration, of course, multiple brains is always better than one brain. Thus, you're going to have higher productivity rate because you have people working together with clarification on one accord. Now, if you're a professional that's combating the dysfunction of communication in the workplace, and the communication in the workplace is dysfunctional, there are a few professional skills that you can adopt within yourself that will help you with aiding dysfunction as far as communication and how to handle ineffective communication. The first thing that I will ask you to do is just that, ask questions. Ask questions. Make sure you asking questions. And when you're asking questions, take notes. Take notes. Write down the day, write down who you spoke with, especially if it's a leader and it is someone in administration. You write down who you spoke to, the time and date in which you spoke to them, and the question in which you asked and how they answered it. Now, do you have to let them know that you're actually doing a written record of what's being said? No, you're just taking your own notes for documentation purposes, because if it's pertinent to your job, you want to make sure you have documentation to support your claim. So keep that documentation. Also, stay involved. Make sure you're involved as much as you can. If you're involved, you're going to be in the know naturally because you're there. So just be involved. Stay involved as much as you can. Don't let the lack of communication or ineffective communication turn you away. Allow it to push you further or deeper into what the expectations are of you, so that you'll have the communication that not only you need, but your team may also need. And do your part. Make sure you do your part in communicating. If you know something, tell your team. If you know something, tell your supervisors and tell your boss, because then this will aid in the organizational growth and development that it needs as far as communication. So ensure that you are doing your part as a business professional. Chapter 2, turnover. Turnover is defined as the loss of talent in an organization or business over time. Many professionals are engaged and consistently seek out professional growth. Many at one point or another love what they do and gain fulfillment or purpose out of their career. Most employees with great work ethic are intrinsically motivated. However, motivation does fall when dysfunction settles in. Workplace dysfunction is one of the leading causes of turnover. Negative turnover in the workplace does increase retirement costs. It also has a lack of productivity. It increases your training costs, and it decreases professional growth and tenure for staff. Now, how does that boil down to being ineffective for an organization or business? Well, increase of recruitment costs. Now we're spending money on trying to find new talents. Now we're trying to seek out innovative ways to get highly qualified professionals into your business or organization. So you want to minimize that turnover. You're trying to keep your talent in-house. You don't want to see all of your talent leave, or even any of your talent leaves, especially if they're beneficial to your business or organization. So we want to keep them here to keep down that recruitment cost. Lack of productivity sets in because now those people are not feeling valued. They're not feeling like what they do matters. And because they're feeling like what they do matters, the productivity will slowly decrease because now they're thinking about leaving. Now they're thinking about finding a new job. So now their focus is on what's wrong instead of what they're doing and what they can do better, and the increasing of productivity. Thus, the opposite occurs. Now I'm thinking about all of the negative things that's going on within the organization. And I know I'm not being valued. I know I'm not appreciated. Thus, my productivity decreases. Increases in training costs, because now I have a lot more people that I'm employing within the business and organization. We're going to have to pay for training because new bodies, new training. So we're wanting to keep the turnover low. High turnover also decreases professional growth for tenured staff, because now we're training all of these new people that the veterans are being looked over. So now their professional growth needs are not being met because we're trying to continuously meet the growth needs of our new employers. Now, you can combat turnover within the business if you're that veteran employee, if you're that seasoned employee for that organization or business. There again are some professional tools and skills that you can adopt and make yourself a better professional if you are indeed experiencing dysfunction of turnover or high turnover in your business or organization. Combating negative turnover in the workplace, again, remind yourself of why you started doing your job. Why do you love doing what you do? Go back to the original reason you got into your career, started working for this business, started working for this company. Remind yourself of the great things that you wanted to do. What type of outcomes did you desire when you first started? Bring that back to the forefront And then you'll develop a new love for your job. You'll develop a new love for and a new passion and get back to the original passion for you doing what you originally were called to do. Intrinsically motivate yourself. Find positives on your jobs and meditate on those positives. Make sure that you do not allow any negativity to enter or creep into your workspace. If a colleague or a coworker brings to you something about the turnover or about the communication or about any other dysfunctions that are taking place within the business or organization, shut it down and highlight some of the great things that is taking place within your organization or business. That will not only help you, but that will also help your colleague remind them, oh yeah, there are some great things that we're doing. Not all is bad. Not all is bleak. And again, get involved. Stay encouraged. Stay engaged. The more we're involved, the more we're engaged, the more we will stay encouraged, because you will then see more positives. You will be able to take note of more positives. Your mind will not stay on the negatives or the negative dysfunctions that the business or organization is enduring. So get involved, stay encouraged, and stay engaged. Chapter 3, consistency. Now, lack of consistency, of course, can lead to insecurity in the workplace as far as responsibilities are concerned. It's ever-changing work expectations, and it discredits leadership. So consistency or the lack thereof can be very detrimental to a organization or business. So insecurities in the workplace. Insecurities in the workplace really are derived from the lack of consistency, because employees feel like their responsibilities change from day to day or from person to person, or whoever's looking at them at that particular time, or whomever is giving out a particular task at that time. So insecurities in the workplace should not take place, but in the event they do, of course, it's a form of dysfunction. So consistency or lack thereof can also change expectations. Again, if it's an inconsistency with leadership, if it's inconsistencies with administration, if there's inconsistencies with what people are communicating to you, you just don't know what your expectations are. Thus, it changes from moment to moment, possibly day to day, or in some cases from person to person. So consistency or lack thereof in the job is very much so a dysfunction. Now, good businesses and organizations with consistencies bring the order to the organization and business. It definitely brings order to the organization or business. Everyone's cohesive. We're understanding what the true mission and vision is. We understand how we play a role in that vision and mission. And this is why a vision and a mission is so important, because it helps with the consistency among staff, colleagues, and administration. Consistency in the workplace also achieves a common objective. That mission and that vision promotes an objective. If we all understand the mission and the vision, we all have the same objective. Thus, consistency will take place. And consistency improves job performance, because we're all on the same page. We can hold each other accountable. We understand what our mission is. We understand what our vision is. We understand what our objective is. Now, our objective may change from quarter to quarter or from task to task, but the vision and the mission will always be the same, which lends to consistency. Now, when you're dealing with an organization that has lack of consistency and that is their dysfunction, to combat that dysfunction, you don't want to second guess yourself, because then your lack of consistency with your own personal growth and development will then start to lack. Then you'll start questioning yourself of whether or not you're good enough. Then you start questioning yourself, is this the job for me? Then you start questioning your own productivity. Then you start questioning yourself being in itself, which does lead to that anxiety and that depression that we were speaking of earlier. So don't second guess yourself. Remain confident. Know your work. Know your craft. If you need to go back to school for further training, go back to school for further training. If you need to take a quick workshop, take a quick workshop just as a refresher. But always know and be confident within yourself. Remain true to yourself, remain true to your craft, and if you need support, seek out support. Also, remain rational. Make appropriate decisions that uphold your values and morals. If you know you're doing the right thing, continue doing the right thing. Stay consistent with yourself. Stay consistent with your colleagues. Stay consistent with your administration. Stay consistent with your communication. Stay consistent with your documentation. Stay consistent with yourself. To combat consistency or the lack of consistency, stay consistent yourself. Chapter 4, lack of support. Lack of support in the workplace is definitely a dysfunction. It can increase psychological strain. It will cause you to have lack of interest in the workplace. You'll have lack of desire to remain within the organization or business in which you're working for, and it'll cause you to withdraw. So, increasing of psychological strain stems from not feeling supported. If you're ever in a workplace that has lack of support, typically the employer will feel like they, again, are useless. They have no use there. They are not valued. And they, again, got into this reason to better themselves or to do something positive. Everyone wants a positive out of the workplace that they're in. No one works for someone to have any negative outcomes. Always positive outcomes are desired by both the employer and the employee. Thus, if the employer is not feeling supported by the employee, it causes psychological strain. And then their interest in the work begins to fade because, again, they start questioning themselves. Is this what I'm supposed to do? Am I really good at what I'm doing? I don't know if I'm good at what I'm doing. I probably should change careers. I probably should find a different organization to work for. So their interest in the work may begin to fade. If their interest in the work begins to fade, then their lack of desire to remain in that particular organization also will fade. So they don't want to stay in the organization anymore because now they're feeling like they're not of use. And then they'll begin to withdraw because either they're seeking out another organization to work for, or they're just too depressed to come into the job themselves and put their all into it. So again, lack of support in the workplace will lead to increased psychological strain, lack of interest in work, lack or desire to remain within the organization or business, and withdrawing, meaning you're late, absent, or now you've found another organization to work for, thus turnover. Now, valued support in the workplace can increase communication and commitment. It will increase satisfaction or mood or morale, and it will, of course, increase positive productivity. So again, that support in the workplace, you feel you're committed because you feel valued. You're committed to the work. You're committed to the job. You're committed to the outcome. You are committed as an employee because there's good coming from what you're doing. That goes back to every employer wants to do good. They want to help in some kind of way. It also increases in satisfaction. If you know what you're doing is good and someone's telling you and it's being recognized and you know you're being supported, your mood is better. You don't feel the anxiety. You don't feel the depression. So your mood's better. Thus, your communication is better. Your spirits are higher. And if not just one, but several employees are feeling this way, it's going to boost morale within the organization or business. Increased performance and productivity, of course, is going to increase. The higher morale, more high fives are going around, the more people have each other's back, the more team collaboration is going on, people will be productive. Then, of course, when you're combating the lack of support, there are a few professional growth tools and skills that you can adopt and put in your bag of tricks if you're dealing with a lack of support and dysfunction in the workplace. One, find an effective mentor. An effective mentor is going to keep you positive. They're going to continue to encourage you. They're going to, most importantly, support you because that's what you're seeking at that time, support. So find a mentor that's going to support you, okay? Second, Seek feedback from your colleagues that you trust. Have them evaluate you. Get some non-formal evaluations from your colleagues, coworkers. Make sure, though, it's someone that you trust. Don't just ask anybody, because then you're going to be skewed off and then you're going to go back to the place that you were with lack of interest and psychological strain. So make sure it is a colleague that you trust. Number 3, seek out your own professional support. If you're not feeling supported and you feel like you need further support, if it's detailing with an actual job description, again, go get some outside training. Go get tutelage from someone else. Go back to school if need be. Take a webinar. Again, read something about it. Get the support that you need. Get your own professional support that you know you need. Don't wait on your bosses or anyone to supply that to you. Seek it out on your own. And last but not least, put together your own professional improvement plan. That way, you're holding yourself accountable, and the number one person that you need to support you is you. So make sure you develop your own professional improvement plan to combat lack of support. Chapter 5, Climate and Culture. Climate and culture in an organization or business can be defined as a shared perception in the organization or business. Culture is defined as how people feel about their organization and business as it pertains to their beliefs, values, and assumptions that provide the identity, and it sets the stage for standards and behaviors. It sets the stage for standards and behaviors. Now, negative climate and culture in the workplace, again, no sense of direction, division between leadership, staff, colleagues, coworkers, and then it could also have animosity towards colleague and coworkers. Again, negative climate and culture in the workplace, it will stem from most of the time not having a clear vision and mission, because we don't know where we're going. We don't have a sense of community. We don't have a sense of belongingness. We don't have a sense of togetherness. Thus, everybody's all over the place. Everybody's going in their own direction of what they feel the organization needs. Now, that's not bad if it's all going in the same direction. It's only bad when everybody's going different directions and no one has a cornerstone or a mission, a clear mission and a clear vision as to what the organization or business needs for growth. It will also lend to division between leadership and staff, because leadership typically sticks together, and then you have your staff sticking together. And then if the staff doesn't feel like they have that direction or that support, and the climate and culture is in a disarray, again, it stems from a person's beliefs, values, and assumption. So if people believe that the administrative team and them are not on the same page, then they're not going to have that support, and it's going to be division between them, because it all boils down to people's perspectives of how they view the organization or the business in general. It can also lead to animosity amongst colleagues, because people are now developing leaders within themselves or leaders within teams, or you have cliques and cohorts that stay together. And then those people who have common shared beliefs and perspectives will stay together. And then these people over here who have common shared beliefs and perspectives, they will stay together. And at times those two will clash because they don't believe the same thing. Their perspectives don't match. Thus, animosity grows between colleagues and staff. Now, positive climate and culture in the workplace can boost the commitment, engagement, retention of employees, morale, and team collaboration. Because again, shared perspectives of people in the organization or business, and beliefs, values, and assumptions that provide the identity, and it sets the stage for our standard behavior. Now, if all of us have a clear mission and a clear vision, which leads to a clear objective, we can be committed to a goal. We can set goals and be committed to those goals. And if we know exactly what goal we're trying to task, everyone has a right to be engaged, because everyone is not going in different directions. We're going in the same direction, trying to reach the same goal. Thus, we're all going to want to do it because we want to be positive. We want to be productive in our organization or business. So, of course, people are going to be engaged with positive climate and culture. And if it's positive, you're going to have low turnover, retention of employees. You're going to retain your employees because everyone is valued. Everyone understands the identity, and the stage for standards and behaviors has been set. It boosts the morale because now we're all on the same page, and it boosts collaboration. So instead of us having dissension, now we're all hopefully sharing the same values, the same beliefs, and the same perspectives about our organization and business because a stage for standards and behaviors has been set. Now, if you're working for a business that does not have positive climate and culture and you're combating that dysfunction, there again are some tools that you can collect. The first tool is stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. If it doesn't have anything to do with you, stay in your lane. Now, is it always good to be helpful? Absolutely. But in some cases, you need to stay in your lane. Don't go and try to help someone if you know that you don't have any business over there on that team, over there in that particular part of the organization or business. Stay in your lane. Do your job and commit to doing your job. Number 2, do not feed into gossip or negativity. Always remain positive. If someone comes to you with negativity, flip it. Give them 4 positives. Flip for every one negativity, give them 4 positives about the organization. Do not feed into it. Talk about how great things are going with you, even if they're not, how great things are going. Because you don't have to believe it that particular day, but if the more and more you do it, you'll begin to believe yourself. Thus, it will manifest. So again, don't feed into gossip or negativity. Determine your own core values and stick with them. You understand your own personal morals, beliefs, and values. You had them before you even started working for a particular organization or business. Hold on to those. Hold on to your true values and beliefs. Have integrity about yourself. Stand for yourself, because if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Stay true to yourself and determine your own values and stick with them. Chapter 6, feedback. Lack of feedback in the workplace can be damaging. It can cause disengagement. It can cause people thinking things are fine the way they are. It causes little to no growth and productivity, and of course leads to high turnover. Now, the disengagement comes in because I don't know what's going on with myself. I don't know whether or not I'm doing good. I don't know whether or not I'm doing bad. Thus, I'm just going to keep things the way they are. But if I keep things the way they are and I really want feedback because I'm trying to grow, I really want to grow as a professional, I really want to grow as an individual, yet no one's giving me feedback. So either one or two things are going to happen. I'm going to keep doing things as they are, or I'm going to diminish in my productivity. Most people diminish in their productivity. They become disengaged, especially if you're one that's truly seeking growth, because you're wanting growth. You're wanting to get that feedback. So you then begin to feel like you're not important. You then begin to feel like you're not valued, or there's things bigger than you that the organization or business needs to tend to. But you always go back to, man, am I doing what I'm supposed to do? So you become disengaged, or you think things are fine just the way they are when you know that there's dysfunction and you know that there's some change that's necessary. And because things are fine the way they are, we then have low productivity. And low productivity is because people understand that there's change that needs to take place, but what can I do to change it? You start feeling like you're just a peon in this big organization and nothing you can do or say can change it. So you're just going to let things stay the way they are. But over time, that'll begin to wear on you. If months or in some cases years go by and you're still in the same place, you're going to want to eventually find another job. Thus, high turnover happens. On a positive note, positive feedback in the workplace boosts morale, It aids in personal and professional motivation and growth. It boosts confidence, and it increases growth and productivity. Well, morale in a place with positive feedback stems because now we are celebrating each other. And sometimes feedback is not always good. Sometimes there is feedback and it's critical feedback where it's pertinent to one's professional growth. So, not all the time will you have those high five moments and quick wins and celebrations. You're going to also combat some of those not so good and critical feedbacks. But you know it's for professional growth. You can have conversations with other colleagues and coworkers. Thus, it will boost the morale because we know we're in this together because we have goals, mission, visions, and objectives set. It's also going to aid in personal and professional motivation. We want to be motivated. We want to do good. We want to hear how well we're doing. We want to know when we're not doing so well so we can change it and do better the next time. It also boosts your confidence when you know somebody is paying attention to you. Oh, okay, thank you. I did that. Okay. So you also want to make sure that you're giving positive feedback because it boosts confidence. Increase of professional growth and productivity. Anybody that's happy is going to do what they need to do. If you keep your staff, colleagues, coworkers happy, growth and productivity will take place. Now, if you're in a place and you're combating the dysfunction of feedback, you could do a few things. One is seek out a trusted mentor. This is the second time we've seen trusted mentor. Seek out a trusted mentor. Reflect. Reflect on yourself often, every day if possible. Sit back and do a recap of your day. Ask someone to come and look at you on your job performance. Again, that can be a mentor or a trusted colleague, but reflect. Reflect on what you think went well, what you think didn't go so well, and the things that didn't go so well, how can you change them so they will be great? Seek external professional training. Seek external professional training and development. Again, hold yourself accountable. Make sure that you're doing everything that you can to stay current and up to date on any research, studies, or anything professional that will make your job easier. And of course, constructive criticism is always good. If you understand that constructive criticism is great, you're well on your way to being a more professional, great professional. Chapter 7, Training and Professional Development. Lack of training and professional development in the workplace can lead to unsafe professional environments, lack of knowledge in industry trends, policies, laws, again, increase of turnover, and unhappy and disgruntled employees. So those unsafe professional developments, unsafe professional environments stem from, again, lack of training and professional development. Because if people are not trained on an organization and the safety procedures or routines, that means when there's an emergency, one is going to be unsafe and there are routines and procedures not in place for one's safety. So again, training, professional development, super important. Lack of knowledge in the industry, trends, policies, laws. If we are not getting training or professional development, we're not current on the latest trends. We're not current on the latest policies. We're not current on the latest laws, which will then get our organization or business into trouble. And if you are the employee, you do not want to be the one that's in trouble because your organization did not keep you abreast on trends, policies, and laws. Thus, it will increase turnover because if people are making mistakes and the organization is not holding themselves accountable, but holding the employees accountable, some employees will lose their job due to breaking policies and laws, which they were not aware of. So again, turnover. And then, of course, people become unhappy and disgruntled employees when they're thinking they're getting fired, or people can get fired, or they could get fired based on breaking a policy or a law that they were unaware of. So again, training and professional development, the lack thereof, unsafe professional environments, lack of knowledge in the industry trends, policies, and laws, high turnover, and again, disgruntled employees. Now, inadequate training and professional development in the workplace improves skills and knowledge, prepares employees to perform their greatest capabilities, and it promotes uniformity within the organization, because now all of us have the same training. All of us have the same professional development. All of us can hold each other accountable. So it doesn't matter where you are, what part of the organization or business you work for. We all have, again, the same mission, vision, objective, and goals that we are completing. Now, when combating training or lack of training and professional development in the workplace, one could always seek outside professional training. This is the fourth time that this has come up. Seek outside professional training. Return to your school if need to. Return to school, get a couple of credit hours if need be. Map out your personal and professional goals. Again, that's similar to a professional improvement plan, and it can be a part of your professional improvement plan, but you want to include short-term goals and long-term goals. What are some short wins that you can celebrate, that you know you can tackle, that will prepare you for those long-term goals? So again, map out your personal and professional goals. Again, seek out that collegial feedback, a trusted colleague who's going to give you feedback. And again, make sure you're open to constructive criticism when it comes to that feedback, and continue to self-reflect. If you know you're not getting the training and professional development you need outside of getting it on your own and seeking it out on your own, make sure you're reflective. Make sure you have someone that's going to give you trusted feedback so you can continue on your path of professional growth and productivity. Chapter 8, employee recognition. The lack of employee recognition in the workplace can lead to lack of appreciation, low morale, poor climate and culture, and lack of teamwork. Lack of appreciation settles in when employees are not recognized at all. There's no one for staff of the month. There's no one to celebrate birthdays. There's no one to celebrate big goals or accomplishments or big wins. Nothing. No positivities are highlighted within the organization or business, which when there's no good that's highlighted, it leads to low morale, because now the employees are thinking, well, what are we doing? Is there anything good coming out of this? Are there any positives around here? So if there's no positives being mentioned, celebrated, or displayed, it's hard for employees to think about them themselves, because our minds automatically put the negatives to the forefront. It could be 100 positive things that's going on in our organization and in our business. But if 4 negatives are the center, those 4 negatives will counteract all 100 of those positives, and people will only focus on those 4 negatives. So let's outshadow those negatives by publicly recognizing employees and celebrating quick wins that will recognize teams, that will recognize individuals, that will recognize hubs, that will recognize just your employees within the organization or business. Employee recognition or lack thereof, again, with that low morale, will lead to poor climate and culture. It will lend to people's perspective of the organization being skewed, because now they're only looking at the negatives and not looking at the positives, because we're not celebrating them and acknowledging them. Thus, lack of teamwork, which means low productivity. Positive employee recognition in the workplace provides guidance. It provides guidance because if one person is celebrated for something that they did, and everybody in the room or on the team can do that same thing, people are going to pick up and like, hey, they did that. I'm going to try that, and I'm going to do that because they were celebrated for it. So now I might get recognized if I do it. So guidance is there. It also promotes positive recognition of employees, of a team, of colleagues. It also shows that you appreciate your colleagues, you appreciate your employers, you appreciate your team, you appreciate the employees. Everyone is appreciated. And it creates a positive work competition. Now, if we're getting celebrated and we know certain things are going to be acknowledged, it promotes for friendly competition within the organization or business. And competition is always good because it makes people seek out the new, innovative, research-based ideas that's going to create a positive and productive organization and business. And naturally, your productivity will increase. And again, if you're combating that lack of employee recognition in the workplace, always celebrate yourself. Give yourself a pat on the back. Acknowledge things that you did that were positive and productive on that day. Jot them down. Make celebrations and quick wins amongst your team, amongst your group of colleagues and coworkers. Celebrate one another. So not only are you celebrating yourself, but you're celebrating your team, colleagues, and coworkers. So some type of recognition can be held, which if you're celebrating and uplifting a teammate, one day they may come back and celebrate and uplift you. Thus, it will continue on and on and on with employee recognition. Even if you're the only one doing it, start a trend. Send shout out emails or kudos emails to teams and colleagues. They never expect them. Those are the best things. It's like having a gift brought to you unexpectedly. Just send somebody a quick email. Hey, I like the way you did. Kudos to you for. So make sure you give those emails and you send those emails out to your colleagues and coworkers. Or face-to-face is always great. Again, create a hospitality committee. Get engaged. Stay engaged. Do something productive for your organization or business. If you see that it's something that they're lacking, you start it. You be the one that creates the hospitality committee. You celebrate birthdays. You celebrate marriages. You celebrate babies coming into the world. You be the catalyst that brings that positivity into the organization or business. And most importantly, stay engaged. Stay engaged, because if you're engaged, you'll know more positives that you're able to celebrate. Chapter 9, job-related accountability. Job-related accountability is defined as all employees taking ownership of their actions, responsibilities, behaviors equally, regardless of tenure or position. Lack of job-related accountability has the organization or business domino effect. What is the domino effect? Great question. The domino effect is defined as the low accountability or leading to mistrust, which leads to low morale, which leads to worker de-evaluation or lack of feedback, which lends to low productivity. And as you can see, is a trickle-down effect that starts with one thing and then it slowly dominoes into something greater, which all of these dysfunctions have. Because if you think back, one dysfunction relates to the other dysfunction, which relates to another dysfunction, which relates to another dysfunction. So you want to tackle your dysfunctions one at a time. In this case, job-related accountability. Job-related accountability or lack thereof in a workplace will lend to unclear expectations of job duty, lack of commitment and dedication to the mission or vision, which leads to the domino effect. And again, the domino effect is the trickle-down effect, which leads to mistrust, low morale, lack of feedback, and of course, low productivity. Unclear expectations and job duties come into play with job-related accountability because now a lot of administrators, leaders don't hold themselves to the same accountability as they do their subordinates or the staff. They think because they have a higher position, they don't have to do as much, or in the event they do something that's wrong, they will not be challenged or corrected by it. So thus unclear expectations and job duties come into play, because if you are allowed to do it, then I should be allowed to do it. If you are expected to do it, then I should be expected to do it, no matter the position, as it pertains to the productivity of the organization or business. Low Job-related accountability can also lead to lack of commitment and dedication to the vision and mission. Again, if your leaders or administration are held to a different regard and a different standard than the subordinates or the staff and the subordinates are not going to be committed to the vision and mission because they don't feel as if the administration or their leaders are committed to the vision and mission. Thus will cause the domino effect. Now, positive job-related accountability in the workplace can lend to building and promoting leaderships, team-oriented communication, responsibility of ownership in the workplace, and productivity. All of those are positive. So building and promoting leadership. Job-related accountability, if you are a leader and you're holding yourself accountable and you're holding your team accountable, your staff, your colleagues accountable, and they see that you're holding yourself accountable, they will then step up to the plate. They will then become their own natural leaders because not only do they see them holding yourself accountable, but they see you holding them accountable. And that accountability is documented and feedback is given to show accountability. And you're showing them your own feedback within yourself, which shows accountability. Then it will lead to trust and team orientedness. Teams want to work together. We want to collaborate with teams. But if I can't collaborate with you because I don't trust you because you don't hold yourself accountable, I then don't feel comfortable working with you in completing a task. But if job-related accountability is there, I know you're holding yourself accountable. I can trust that we're sharing the same vision and mission, objective and goals are being shared. Thus, I don't mind working with you. Not only do I not mind, but I want to because it's for the betterment of the cause for the organization or for the business. It will also promote trust and communication because I trust someone that holds themselves accountable. If you're holding yourself accountable and you're holding me accountable, then I can trust that you have the best interest of the organization and business at heart. Now, when you're combating job-related accountability, a couple of tools that you can adopt for your own professional growth is understanding perspectives. Talk to people. Don't pass judgment and listen. Most importantly, listen. Try to understand people's perspectives because people's perspectives are their realities. And our lives are our realities. So understand others' perspective. Hold yourself accountable. If no one in the whole organization is holding themselves accountable, you hold yourself accountable. You make sure you're doing everything that you can do for the betterment of the organization or business. Act on feedback that you receive. If someone gives you critical feedback and it wasn't what you wanted to hear and it causes you to change something as far as individual character changes or professional character changes, do them immediately. Act on your feedback immediately. If your feedback was something in the effect of to start something new immediately. Don't wait weeks, months to go by and then now you've forgotten about the feedback that you received. No, act on that immediately. Make sure you're open to constructive criticism. You can't want change if you don't want to change yourself. And of course, learn to have courageous conversations, even if it is with your admin team. Stand on your own personal morals, values, and beliefs. Try to understand your leaders' expectations and their perspective, but then have that courageous conversation so they can try to understand your perspective because perspectives are our realities. Chapter 10, Leadership. Poor leadership in the workplace will lead to instability, to not making sound decisions for the team. It will also lead to slow reaction to change. Poor leadership can lead to just checking boxes and being okay with the status quo. And of course, horning in on tasks and not completing tasks is poor leadership. Now, the instability to make sound decisions for the team lends to one not being sure of themselves in that leadership position, thus because they're not sure, they can't make the decisions for the team, or they question themselves and their own authority, thus they can't make a sound decision for the team. They're slow to reaction or change. They know that certain things need to be changed, but they're unsure how to tackle them. They're unsure of where to start. Comfortable with the status quo. Many leaders are okay with the way things are because they have the attitude of it could be worse. And thus, because it could be worse, we tend not to try to make things better, because some of us don't make things better out of fear. Because if I try this and it goes wrong, then I'm in a worse predicament than I am before. So checking boxes or being comfortable with the status quo. And of course, not delegating tasks. If you have leaders seeking to be leaders and you know that they have leadership abilities, delegate those tasks so you can grow those leaders. But if you're not delegating tasks, you'll become inundated with materials and become overwhelmed. And as a leader, now you're ineffective because you didn't delegate tasks and seek out other leadership capabilities. Positive leadership in the workplace can promote trust, communication, productivity, positive morale, and of course, synchronicity. Trust and communication in leadership. You can't have communication and without trust, and you cannot have effective communication or effective leadership without trust. So you have to have trust within your administrator or your leaders of your business and organization and your subordinates. Communication is key. Effective communication with leaders. Again, a leader with great communication is able to have a clear mission, clear vision, clear objective, and clear goals, which makes for great productivity, positive morale, and now everyone is on the same page because we have a clear mission, a clear vision, which promotes clear objectives, which promotes making and achieving goals. Synchronicity will happen within the organization with a common vision and mission. And again, if you're combating poor leadership in the workplace, couple of things. Most importantly, just be a leader yourself. Find your own leadership capabilities. And if you know you're wanting change, you're definitely a leader. If you have identified dysfunction in your workplace, just don't stick on, well, it's dysfunction. No, be a catalyst of change yourself. Be your own leader. Be decisive. You make decisions. If you know you're not getting decisions made and it's affecting your productivity or your efficiency, make decisions. Be decisive. Make sure that you've weighed out everything and you understand perspective so you can make an informed decision so it could improve the productivity of your business or organization. Have integrity. Be honest and true to yourself at all times. Always be honest and true to yourself. Build and foster relationships with all stakeholders of your organization or business. Everyone. Make sure you build relationships. Building relationships is the most important thing when it comes to being positive and productive within any business or organization. Make sure you build and foster relationships. Communicate efficiently and effectively. Again, you're seeking to be a leader. You need to be a leader within your own workplace. Thus, you must have positive and effective communication. And then last but very not least, when dealing with poor leadership, be everything you think the organization or business needs to be successful. So if you feel the organization needs better communication, you be a better communicator. If you feel like the organization needs a vision or a mission, do your research. You create a vision and a mission for you to go by. You should be whatever the organization needs. Whatever you feel like the organization needs, you be that. So think about the organization, put the organization or the business above yourself. Think about why you got into this job, why you started doing what you're doing in the first place, and be everything the organization needs. And that, my friends, is how you combat dysfunction in the workplace. And this is how you become dysfunctionally satisfied in the workplace. Thank you.